Once upon a time, there was a small village surrounded by dense forests and towering mountains. Its people lived in peace and tranquility, where the air was pure and the water was clear. They knew neither fear nor terror, and their lands were fertile and full of goodness. But all that changed suddenly one dark night when the villagers began to hear strange sounds coming from the top of the mountain. It was a terrible roar that shook the ground and made the giant trees tremble. The villagers gathered in the main square, filled with anxiety and fear. The village elder, the wise Olaf, who had lived for over 100 years, stood up and said in a quiet but burdened voice, "Beloved, this roar can only be the roar of one being. It is the great dragon, Rhaegar, of whom the legends tell. He has awakened from his long slumber, and is back to terrorize our hearts." One of the fishermen raised his voice and said, "But, Elder Olaf, it has been hundreds of years since he last appeared. Why is he returning now?" The old man replied sadly, "He returns when he feels danger approaching his treasure, or if there is a force threatening his world. No one knows the real reason, but we must find a solution before he destroys our village." The people in the village began to grumble and panic, wondering whether they should run or hide. But suddenly, a young man, named Arion, stepped forward. Arion was known for his bravery and pure heart, but he was not a strong warrior. "I will go and face Rhaegar," said Arion with determination, looking at Elder Olaf. "I will not let him destroy our village." His mother, standing in the back rows, whispered, trying to stop him, "No, Arion, you are not ready. This dragon has taken down the greatest warriors of the past. You cannot face it alone." Arion took his mother's hand gently and said, "Mother, someone must stand against this evil. If I do not do it, there will be nothing left to defend against." Arion carried only an old sword, which he had inherited from his grandfather, who had been a warrior in his youth. The sword was mixed with stories of heroes who had faced dragons and monsters in the past. His grandfather had always said that this sword was not ordinary, that it used the power of the mind before the power of the muscles. Arion set off on his journey through the forest, the roar growing louder with each step he took towards the mountain. The cold wind was blowing the leaves of the trees, as if all of nature was trying to stop him from moving forward. When he reached the foot of the mountain, he saw a horrific scene: burning trees, charred ground, and the bones of creatures scattered everywhere. There was no doubt, the dragon had indeed awakened. Arion climbed the mountain carefully, and the nearer he got to the top, the hotter he felt. Sweat was pouring from his forehead, but he did not retreat. At last, he reached the cave where the dragon lay. The cave was huge, spreading like a palace of jewels and precious stones. In the middle of the cave lay Rhaegar, the giant dragon, with his wings folded, and his eyes glowing red like coals. The dragon slowly opened his eyes, and looked at Arion with a look full of mockery and scorn. Then he said in a deep voice that filled the mountains, "Who is this man who dares to enter my den? Have you come to be my next meal?" Arion hesitated for a moment, but then pulled himself together and replied, "I did not come to fight you, Rhaegar. I came to talk to you. Why are you attacking our village? We have never harmed you, and we have no intention of taking your treasure." The dragon laughed loudly, and small flames came out of his nose, adding to the heat. "You think I attack you for no reason? Humans always think they are innocent, but they are greedy and covetous. Every time someone approaches this mountain, they seek to take my treasure or think they can defeat me." Arion replied boldly, "I am not here for treasures. I am only protecting my village and its people. If you have a problem with humans, talk to me, let me try to find a solution." The dragon was silent for a moment, as if thinking about Arion's words. Then he said, "If you are sincere in your intention, there is a test you must pass. You must prove to me that you have a pure heart and unparalleled courage. Go to the Valley of Shadows. There you will encounter beings from the past, memories and fears. If you can return alive, I will leave your village in peace." Arion agreed without hesitation, and set off for the Valley of Shadows, a place said to be filled with lost souls and evil creatures. The darkness there was so thick that he could barely see anything around him. Suddenly, the ghosts of warriors from the past appeared before him, their faces bearing signs of pain and sorrow. They attacked him, but he did not use his sword, but raised his hands and said, "I am not your enemy, I have come to prove that peace is possible. I will not fight you." Suddenly, the ghosts stopped, and slowly withdrew into the darkness, as if an ancient curse had been lifted from them. Arion continued on his way, encountering other creatures, but each time using his wits and words instead of violence. He finally returned to the dragon, tired and exhausted, but unharmed. Rhaegar looked at him in surprise, and said, "You did it. I didn't expect that. You truly have a pure heart." The dragon lowered his head slightly in respect, and added, "I will leave your village in peace, hero. But remember, I will still be watching you. If the humans betray my covenant again, I will return." Arion returned to his village, amidst the celebrations of its people who were watching from afar. He became their legendary hero, and his name was mentioned in every corner of the village. From that day on, the village lived in peace, and the dragon Rhaegar was never seen again.